I can't explain the sense of dread that overcame me every time I entered my bedroom. It was an ordinary room, with pale lavender walls adorned with posters of my favorite bands, and a cluttered desk piled high with textbooks and papers. But there was one corner that sent shivers down my spine. One corner that held the key to the haunting terror that gripped my nights. The closet. My parents had always reassured me that there was nothing to fear in that old wooden closet. It was just a storage space, they said, filled with old clothes, board games, and other forgotten relics of our past. Yet, despite their comforting words, I couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister lurked within. It was a crisp autumn night when I first heard it. The faintest of whispers, so soft that I could barely make out the words. I was lying in bed, the covers pulled up to my chin, staring at the ceiling and trying to shake off the unease that had settled over me. That's when I heard it. A voice that seemed to emanate from the closet itself. "Hello," it whispered, so softly that it was almost imperceptible. But it was there, a disembodied voice coming from the depths of my closet. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. My mind raced, trying to rationalize what I had just heard. Maybe it was the wind, I thought. Maybe it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But deep down, I knew it was none of those things. It was something else, something far more sinister. I pulled the covers tighter around me, my eyes fixed on the closet door. I couldn't see anything in the darkness, but I could feel a presence, an oppressive weight that seemed to fill the room. The voice spoke again, louder this time, and more insistent. "Come closer," it beckoned. I should have been terrified, but a strange curiosity overcame me. I had to know what was in there, what was speaking to me from the shadows of my closet. Slowly, hesitantly, I swung my legs out of bed and stood up. My bare feet made no sound as I tiptoed across the room, closer to the closet. As I reached out to grab the handle, the voice grew even louder, filling my ears with its chilling words. "Open the door," it commanded. My hand trembled as I turned the handle and pulled the door open. The closet was plunged into darkness, but I could make out a faint, shifting shape in the corner. It was a silhouette, a formless mass that seemed to writhe and twist. "Step inside," the voice urged. I hesitated for a moment, my heart pounding in my chest. But something compelled me to obey. I took a step into the closet, and the door swung shut behind me with a deafening thud. I was plunged into complete darkness, unable to see anything but the dim outline of the shifting mass in front of me. "Who are you?" I stammered, my voice trembling. The voice let out a chilling laugh, a sound that sent shivers down my spine. "I am the darkness that dwells within your closet," it replied. "I am the shadow that speaks to you in the night." I could feel the presence closing in around me, a suffocating darkness that seemed to press against my skin. I wanted to scream, to run, but I was paralyzed with fear. "What do you want?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. The shadow in the closet seemed to grow larger, more oppressive. "I want to be free," it hissed. "I want to escape this prison and roam the world once more. And for that, I need your help." I stood there in the darkness, my mind racing as I tried to comprehend the impossible. The shadow in my closet was speaking to me, and it wanted something from me. Fear and curiosity warred within me, but the sinister presence seemed to have a hold on my very soul. "What do you mean, you need my help?" I asked, my voice trembling. The shadow pulsed and swirled, as if it were contemplating its words. "I have been trapped in this closet for centuries, bound by an ancient curse," it explained. "But I have grown tired of my prison, and I have watched you for years, waiting for the right moment." I swallowed hard, my throat dry. "What do you want from me?" The shadow's voice took on a pleading tone. "I need a vessel, a host through which I can escape this confinement. I need you to set me free." A chill ran down my spine as I realized the gravity of the situation. The shadow wanted to possess me, to use me as a means of escape. I couldn't allow that to happen. But I was trapped in the closet with it, surrounded by an impenetrable darkness. "No," I whispered, finding my voice again. "I won't help you." The shadow's response was immediate and violent. It surged forward, enveloping me in its inky embrace. I could feel it seeping into my very being, like 1,000 icy fingers crawling under my skin. "You have no choice," it hissed, its voice now a cacophony of whispers. "I will consume you, body and soul, until there is nothing left." Desperation gripped me, and I fought against the encroaching darkness with every ounce of strength I had left. I couldn't let this thing take control of me. I couldn't let it escape into the world. With a surge of willpower, I pushed back against the shadow, driving it away from me. It screeched in fury, a terrible sound that echoed in the confines of the closet. I could feel its anger, its malevolence, but I refused to yield. As the minutes stretched into eternity, I continued to struggle against the shadow, my mind and body pushed to their limits. But I couldn't give up. I couldn't let it win. Finally, with one last surge of determination, I managed to force the shadow back into the depths of the closet. The door swung open, and I stumbled out into the dimly lit room, gasping for breath. I knew that the shadow was still there, waiting for another opportunity to escape. But I had bought myself some time, and I knew I had to find a way to banish it for good. My life had become a nightmare, and I was determined to reclaim it from the darkness that had taken hold of my closet. The days that followed were a blur of anxiety and sleepless nights. I couldn't escape the memory of the shadow in my closet, its sinister whispers haunting my every thought. I knew I had to find a way to rid myself of this malevolent presence, but I had no idea where to begin. Desperation drove me to seek out answers. I spent hours scouring the internet, researching ancient curses and malevolent spirits. I visited libraries, poring over dusty tomes on the occult and the supernatural. But the more I learned, the more hopeless my situation seemed. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and darkness once again settled over my room, I heard the faintest of whispers. It was the voice of the shadow, taunting me. "You cannot escape me," it hissed. "I will always be here, waiting for the right moment to strike." I clenched my fists in frustration. I couldn't let this thing continue to torment me. I needed help, someone who understood the darkness that had taken root in my closet. That's when I remembered the old woman who lived on the outskirts of town. She was rumored to be a witch, a practitioner of the dark arts. People whispered about her strange powers and her ability to commune with spirits. Desperate, I decided to seek her out. The path to her cottage was overgrown with thorny brambles and twisted trees that seemed to reach out with gnarled fingers. The air grew colder as I approached, and a sense of foreboding washed over me. But I couldn't turn back now. I knocked on the cottage door, and it creaked open slowly, revealing a dimly lit interior filled with shelves, lined with jars and bottles filled with strange substances. The old woman herself was hunched over a table, her back to me. "Who dares enter my domain?" she croaked, her voice like dried leaves rustling in the wind. I need your help," I stammered. The old woman turned to face me, her eyes piercing and filled with an otherworldly wisdom. "I know why you have come," she said. "You seek to banish the shadow in your closet." I nodded, relief washing over me that she understood. The old woman's lips curled into a wicked smile. "Very well," she said, "but be warned, young one. The price for my help is steep, and the path to banishing such darkness is fraught with peril." I had no choice. I would do whatever it took to rid myself of the shadow that had taken hold of my life. The old woman led me to a dimly lit room in the back of her cottage, where the walls were adorned with strange symbols, and flickering candles cast eerie shadows on the floor. In the center of the room, there was a large ornate mirror that seemed to shimmer with an unnatural light. "This is where we shall perform the ritual," the old woman explained. "But first, you must understand the consequences of what we are about to do. Vanishing the shadow from your closet will not be easy, and it may come at a great cost." I nodded, my determination unwavering. I was willing to do whatever it took to be free of the malevolent presence that had plagued me for so long. The old woman began to chant in a language I couldn't understand, her voice filled with power and ancient knowledge. She drew symbols on the floor in chalk and lit incense that filled the room with a heady, intoxicating scent. As the ritual progressed, I could feel the energy in the room shifting, becoming charged with a strange, otherworldly power. The mirror seemed to come to life, reflecting images that made my blood run cold. Shadows moving within shadows, twisted and grotesque forms that seemed to reach out for me. The old woman's voice grew louder, and I could feel the shadow in my closet responding, its presence growing stronger and more malevolent. It fought against the ritual, pushing back with a dark, relentless force. I closed my eyes and focused all my willpower on the mirror, on banishing the shadow once and for all. The room seemed to shake with the intensity of the battle, and I could hear the old woman's voice growing more desperate as she struggled to maintain control. And then, with a final, desperate surge of energy, I felt the shadow being ripped from my closet and drawn into the mirror. There was a blinding flash of light, and the room was filled with an ear-splitting scream that seemed to echo in my very soul. When I opened my eyes, the room was empty, the mirror now just a reflective surface. The old woman was gone, and I was alone. In the days that followed, I returned to my room with a sense of trepidation. The oppressive darkness that had once filled my closet was gone, replaced by a sense of emptiness. I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness, as if I had lost something that had been a part of me for so long. But I knew that the shadow was no longer a threat, and that was all that mattered. I had paid a steep price for its banishment, but I was free from its haunting presence. As the weeks turned into months, I tried to move on with my life, to put the horrors of that time behind me. But the memory of the shadow in my closet and the dark ritual I had performed haunted my dreams, a constant reminder of the darkness that could lurk just beneath the surface. Then, one night, as I lay in bed, I heard a faint, familiar voice, a voice that sent a chill down my spine. "I am not gone," it whispered. "I am still here, waiting for the right moment to return." My heart raced, and I jumped out of bed, rushing to the closet. I flung the door open, but there was nothing there, just an empty space filled with forgotten belongings. The shadow was gone, but its voice lingered, a haunting reminder that it had not been completely banished. I knew then that I would never truly be free of the shadow, that it would always be a part of me, lurking in the darkest corners of my mind. I had paid a steep price for my freedom, and I would have to live with the consequences for the rest of my life. Years passed, and I grew older, but the memory of the shadow in my closet never faded. It remained a constant presence in my life, a reminder of the darkness that could exist within us all. I tried to find solace in the daylight, in the warmth of the sun and the laughter of friends, but the shadow was always there, lurking in the background, whispering its sinister promises. And then, one fateful night, as I lay in bed, I heard the voice once again, louder and more insistent than ever before. "I am coming back," it hissed. "I have waited long enough, and now I will be free." Panic gripped me as I realized that the shadow had found a way to return, to escape the mirror and once again take hold of my life. I knew that I couldn't fight it, that it was too powerful, too malevolent. As the room plunged into darkness, I could feel the shadow closing in, its icy fingers wrapping around my soul. I had made a terrible mistake, and now I would pay the ultimate price. And so, dear reader, I leave you with this warning. Beware the darkness that dwells in the shadows, for it is a force that can never truly be banished. It is a force that can consume us all, leaving us forever trapped in an eternal night. The room was engulfed in an impenetrable darkness, and the voice of the shadow echoed in my mind, drowning out all other thoughts. It was as if I were being pulled into a void, a place where there was no escape. "I am here," the voice whispered, its words echoing in the abyss. "You cannot hide from me." My heart raced, and I felt a suffocating pressure closing in on me from all sides. I knew that I was losing the battle, that the shadow was too powerful, too relentless. But then, as if from a distant memory, I recalled the old woman's words. The price for her help was steep, and the path to banishing such darkness was fraught with peril. With a surge of determination, I reached deep within myself, tapping into a well of inner strength I didn't know I possessed. I refused to surrender to the darkness, to let it consume me. "I won't let you take me," I whispered, my voice trembling but resolute. The shadow screeched in fury, its grip on me faltering. I could feel it being pushed back, forced away by the sheer force of my will. The room seemed to shake with the intensity of our struggle, and I could see flickers of light, like stars breaking through a stormy night sky. And then, with one final, desperate push, I expelled the shadow from my mind, banishing it back into the abyss. The room was filled with blinding light, and the suffocating pressure lifted. I gasped for breath, my body drenched in sweat. I had won, but at a great cost. The shadow was gone, but I knew it would never truly be vanquished. It would always be out there, waiting for the right moment to return. As the years went by, I never forgot the horrors I had faced, the darkness I had battled. I carried the scars of that night with me, a constant reminder of the eternal struggle between light and shadow. And so, dear reader, I leave you with this cautionary tale. Beware the darkness that lurks in the corners of your mind, for it is a force that can never truly be defeated. It is a force that can only be kept at bay, a force that we must constantly guard against, for the eternal night is always waiting to reclaim us.